We have some big news to go over today. As following what has been a crazy past few days for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have made more sneaky signings, including one in particular that is very intriguing. We're going to break down exactly what those moves are and discuss what this means going forward. As we also have some big Leafs updates that got lost in between the chaotic and crazy past few days, past few hours. And in general, it's going to be a crazy video. So stay tuned until the end of it. Before we can do it all, if you're a part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts with the support lately. We've been pumping out multiple videos a day, streams every day, basically. And your guys' support's been unbelievable. There's a lot to go over today. Leafs still have a lot of work to do. Trades are going to be on the horizon. Moves are going to be on the horizon. But they made some more sneaky signings last night and later last night that kind of got lost a little bit by a lot of fans here. And there's a couple players in particular that are extremely interesting, including a former Maple Leaf. Let's dive right into it. It's not Nazem Kadri today. It is going to be four-player series. You can see we've signed forwards Travis Boyd, Benoit, I'm not going to read the whole name, Michael Pezzetta, and Dakota Mermis to of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, again, we knew about Michael Pezzetta, Dakota Mermis. It's good to see him back with the team. But they made two different signings here, including what I'm going to call Benoit and Travis Boyd. Travis Boyd's a very interesting one. And Darius, they brought a couple guys back here, but I actually really am interested, I should say, in Travis Boyd and potential option here to actually make an impact once again on that fourth line and maybe even split some time with Michael Pezzetta, depending on the matchup. And if you're curious, you can see the deals here. Boyd's a 1 year, $775.
Yeah, and a couple names here on this list, you might be looking like at them and be like, "Hey, why do I recognize these names?" Well, one of them is Dakota Mermis, obviously, who played for the Leafs last year and was a good depth option. We'll get into him later in the video. Guru is how I believe you pronounce
Yeah.
it. So we're going to go with Bo Guru. I'm pretty sure he goes by Bo Guru. So he's a sneaky good signing, actually. We can get into that as well. He spent, he's kind of bounced between the NHL and the AHL, depending on what organization he's been with. He played for the Anaheim Ducks. So he does have some NHL experience. Again, a lot of these are depth signings, but Travis Boyd, you might remember him from 2021. He is a former Maple Leaf. He played with the Maple Leafs that 2021 season that ultimately ended to the Montreal Canadiens. And it was a weird season. It was a half season that started in January. So he did play with the Leafs that year. I believe he was playing on the fourth line at the time, and he's probably going to do the same thing. I don't know exactly what the plan is, but they're signing a lot of these guys. Like, I feel like David Kampf at this point, Calle Yarncroke, might as well pack their bags because I think they're going to move them as cap casualties and, use guys like Travis Boyd on the fourth line. Now, Travis Boyd, for example, didn't play too much in the NHL last year. In fact, I think he only played 3 games to be precise, but did spend some time in the AHL, had decent numbers. He's played in the NHL before, had decent numbers with the Toronto Maple Leafs last time he was here. So I think it's a pretty good signing. And then Guru, I think, again, a lot of these guys are just depth signings. You saw that the Florida Panthers signed their almost entire bottom six for less than $1 million. So I feel like that's what the Leafs are trying to mimic a little bit here. Just sign a bunch of guys, have them come into camp, see how they perform. Maybe they go to the Marlies. If there's some injuries, they come in. They're serviceable players, right? And we're going to get to it later in the video too, but they're missing a couple players now too. Alex Steves, gone. He's gone to Boston. We're going to get into one player in particular that was playing in the bottom six that did have a big role. He's gone as well. So they're going to have to fill in the rest of those spots, and that's exactly what they're doing with some of these depth moves. Again, some of these guys might end up on the Marlies, but I do like these moves better so you're not yo-yoing young guys like we saw with the Fraser Minton, for example. He did play well, right? He's no longer here. I don't think they want to, keep yo-yoing guys, and they'd rather have a more depth to pick from in the AHL as well.
Yeah, and you see at the bottom, in case you're wondering, Alex Steves gone, Abruzzese also gone, and who we'll get into in a minute, Pontus Holmberg, like you mentioned, is gone as well. Just to put a bow in this here, a tie rather. Pezzetta, obviously a very good signing. Travis Boyd, 53 points last season in the AHL in 63 games, and Bo Guru, 47 games, 37 points. So veteran guys, I think Boyd's probably going to be bouncing up and down a little bit, maybe even playing on the fourth line in certain situations where Pezzetta might not. And just to throw it out there for you all who are curious, he had a whopping no points in 3 games in the NHL last year, but he's 31 years old. I can't imagine. It's probably mostly depth for the Marlies, but I think there is a world where he factors in, depending on the other moves they make. We know Brad Treliving came out and said they're looking to make some big moves in the top 6, which means in order to do that, just with the salary cap and everything here, they extended Steven Lorentz, all these different things, they need to now go out and spend most of their money on the top 6, which means the bottom 6. Most of the better teams around the NHL, like, they don't have an insanely high, capital intensive bottom 6. I think the Leafs are starting to take that approach. Also down below what your thoughts are on Travis Boyd. Bit of an interesting player. Speaking of interesting players, Pontus Holmberg has left for the Lightning. He signed a 2-year, $1.55 million deal for by Tampa Bay. He's a speedy, low-event forward who forechecks and battles for the puck. This is crazy to me. Not the fact that necessarily he's gone, but he gets a 2-year, $1.55 million deal. This guy played, you mentioned the bottom six. In the playoffs, he was playing some second line minutes, which is obviously, kind of got lost in the fact that he's gone. And Brad Treliving spoke out about it and said we weren't able to, between us and Pontus' side, find a number we felt fit. Now, I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on this, because you compare this to the Travis Boyd, even a guy like Michael Pezzetta. Pezzetta got, for all intents and purposes here, half of what Pontus Holmberg got. So you get Pezzetta and Travis Boyd for the price of one Pontus Holmberg. But at the same time, doesn't seem like a crazy number. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't match it. And it kind of goes to show they must really, really be all in on the on saving money in this bottom six, because it's not like it was $2 or $3 million. 1.55 for Pontus, who's very responsible defensively.
Yeah, he's a very responsible forward and a Swiss Army knife of some sorts, right? Because of course, like you mentioned, he was playing in the top six a lot, even in the playoffs. So he's a guy who can kind of bounce around. I don't know if it was that successful. That's probably something they've definitely taken a look at, but I think that they had a number in mind. Like you said, they want to save as much money as possible on players that they want to bring back. And I think they wanted to bring him back. And you can read all the quotes, but I actually watched Brad Treliving's media availability after the first day of free agency. And when they were talking about that, which keep in mind, he was actually signed with the Lightning as Brad Treliving was talking about him and obviously giving that media availability, he seemed very unbothered. He said, you know what, like we would love to have him back, but he seemed very unbothered by it, that it wasn't going to work out at the dollar amount that they wanted. So clearly they wanted him cheaper than that. Pontus Holmberg saying I could probably make more somewhere else, and he is in Tampa Bay. But I don't know if he did enough they're trying to restructure this team. And I don't know if he did enough or made that much of an impact to bring him back for that much money. Of course, you know what Steven Lorentz brings at 1.3, but to bring Holmberg back at 1.5, that's another spot you're taking away from somebody else. Now, you have to keep in mind, they're still looking for a top six player, right? But if you look at the third line now, Scott Lawton, you have Nick Waugh, right? You can't forget about him. You just got him in a trade. It's starting to fill out a little bit more and a little heavier as well. So I don't know if there was a spot for him on this team anymore. And Brad Treliving, not to say that he didn't care that he was losing the player. I think that he would have liked to have brought him back as a depth option, but on a cheaper contract, and he seemed a bit unbothered by it.
I personally don't care that he's gone. They got Machelli as well for the top six. The team is starting to shape out, including Michael Pezzetta, who, again, according to Brad Treliving, brings some speed, brings some depth, brings some physicality. And they added a lot of different things here, a bunch of signings. And let us know down below what your thoughts are on this. Are you sad Pontus is gone? Are you excited to see potentially Travis Boyd? And, a little bonus here at the end. If you made it this far in the video, comment down below if you have any Travis Boyd favorite moments from when he was a Toronto Maple Leaf. Maybe someone has some cherry-picked one from there. But that'll wrap it up. Things are going to get crazier and crazier. Of course, the big swarm of moves is not over yet. Treliving has a lot of work to do, specifically in the trade market, and we'll keep you up to date every step of the way. You guys will be saying thanks for watching. See you later.